So, can distance kill a relationship? Can distance kill love? That's the question that I'm pondering today because I've been through a long distance relationship. I just wanted to pretty much share something with you guys about what I went through when I was in a long distance relationship, and hopefully the lessons I learned could help somebody out there so they don't make the same mistakes that I made when I was in a long distance relationship. For all you guys that don't know, um, my name is Slick Mason. I've been a living like an expat for the past 5 years. I have been going back and forth from Thunder Bay, Canada, to Uganda, primarily Kampala, and I've been pretty much living like a snowbird. So you know how us snowbirds, we don't like the winter that much, so we just dodge it. Whenever it gets cold here, I just run back there and pretty much enjoy whatever lifestyle uh, is back home for me, which is Uganda, right? So um, the past probably like 2.5 years, I was in a relationship with a very beautiful girl that I met, and that relationship to me like taught me a lot of things because it was a long distance relationship in that I'd spend close to 6 months over there, or 3 to 6 months pretty much over in Uganda. And what ended up happening was um, I'd spend time there. I'd be with my girlfriend, let's say for those 3 to 6 months, and then I'd have to come back to Canada in order to pretty much go to the office and try to show face at my job, so at least I can be a part of company events and all that. So I know people out there who work remotely know what this kind of lifestyle is like, especially when you have a situation where the company wants you to come in for company events. In certain cases, they fly you out. I never really, took that option. Most of the time, I decided to just come back, whenever my time came to come back because I had to catch up with friends and everything, and also make sure that I can, um, at least see if I can catch up with certain things, keep up my driver's license, make sure that I was up to date, health cards, certain records, make sure my bank account was good to go, make sure I would do all my taxes and everything, right? So that was just the way that my life was at that point in time. But back to the long distance relationship, which was what you guys came here to hear me talk about, is pretty much um, a few challenges that I faced, which, besides the distance, is that the first thing was that it was really hard to stay faithful. So when, a lot of guys out there understand what this is like when you spend some time away from your girl, and then you reach a situation where women are approaching you, and a lot of them are approaching you with intent most of the time. It's as if there's some kind of thing that happens, or some kind of switch in women's brains, like when they, even if they haven't asked you if you're in a relationship or not, it's like as if they sense something, and they have this attraction to you when you're in a relationship, but when you're single, they're nowhere to be found, right? So that's something that happened to me, is that I started getting approached by a lot of women that I wouldn't, that I'd have trouble approaching because they seemed intimidating to me in a sense. Um, so not necessarily that I was scared of them, but um, I just didn't think a woman like that would even want to give me any kind of attention. So that was the attention that I was getting, and I was wondering what's going on. Like I don't usually get this, but now I'm getting it. I'm getting this kind of attention, right? And I'm also in a relationship, so there's some dudes that will just take advantage of it, and they'll go ahead and run wild and date multiple women. There's a lot of dating coaches out there that tell you, oh, go ahead, spin plates or whatever. I'm not the kind of dude that has even the time of day to continue, to even start spinning plates, because that's not my style, right? So I turned down a lot. I turned down a lot of coochie, right? But at the end of the day, I don't regret turning it down. Although some of them really look good, like they really looked good. Um, but I had to turn it down. So that's one thing. It's really hard to stay faithful, but I would recommend staying faithful. But if you don't have that kind of self control, hey, good luck. Another thing that I just have my notes here so I could see exactly what I want to cover and I don't forget anything. So another thing that you have to remember is that you have to learn to communicate a lot better. Right now, communication with my girlfriend is something that I had trouble with because I'm not a very um, let's say in that relationship or even in the relationships I have, I don't do the whole good morning text thing, right? Or how's your day going? That kind of thing. I just pretty much text the person, hey, what's going on, right? I'm just gonna either call you and have a conversation with you over the phone, but it won't be a conversation for like 3 hours, right? Because I don't have that time of day. I usually talk to somebody maybe for like half an hour, right? If the conversation is interesting, we may do an hour, but I'm not gonna sit there for hours and just talk to my girlfriend over and over and over again. Um, and the other thing is that when I communicated actually with my girlfriend, I wouldn't say I wasn't very engaging, but um, I tried not to tell her things that would make her think I was cheating on her while I was out here, right? Because I would say that the trust issues were there, right? Actually, that ties into my next point is that there's a trust test that goes on when you're dealing with long distance relationships. Is that your girlfriend's always gonna think you're cheating, and anyways, you don't even know if she's cheating on you on that end, right? Because she's all the way there. She might be talking to you every day. You might think things are fine, but then she probably has another dude on the side that she's talking to, right? Or she's talking to multiple dudes at the same time. I don't know, but she's just waiting for the best option. So you don't know that. Um, but then that's also not an excuse for you to cheat just because you suspect that she's been cheating, unless you have proof, right? And you confront her about it. I wouldn't suggest going ahead and cheating just because there's a chance that she could cheat on you. So um, the way I approached things was um, whenever she asked me a question, I, and said, oh, what were you doing here? Why, what do you mean women walk up to you and talk to you? Certain things like that. When I disclosed that kind of information, she started like really interrogating me. And then it got to a point where I had to like reassure her all the time. Right. So once you open that can of worms, you know, you pretty much have started to you'll keep having those issues come up again and again and again, right? So I mean, I tried to be as transparent as I could be with her in the beginning, and told her, hey, like, cheating happens and stuff, right? So um, if it does happen, what are we going to do about it, right? So I told her these are certain kind of steps that we could probably take if that happens, right? But then the way she took it as is that maybe I'm just looking for an opportunity to go ahead and be unfaithful, and I don't think that was, um, you know, the best move. But also the distance makes things worse because she doesn't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what she's doing also at the same time 100% because I'm not around her every day, right? So that's another kind of like a pitfall when it comes to that. Um, Another thing is that um, you have, in addition to the trust test, is that you're always living in the future, right? So you're always trying to, like, plan the next trip and figure out what things you're gonna do when you get there and all that, right? So you're not always living in the present, right? So when you have your girlfriend around you all the time, like it's or your significant other, you're always thinking the now. This is the now, right? But when you get to a point where you're in a long distance relationship and there's distance between the two of you, then you're always thinking of the next time that you'll be together, the next time that you'll get to go out on a date and have some dinner together, and the next time you'll have any kind of intimacy, right? So it's pretty tough when it comes to these relationships. Now, that actually ties into my next point here, is that there's a huge financial toll, right? Because you're spending money to go back and forth from one place to another, right? So I had to spend a lot of money on plane tickets because the distance from Canada to Uganda is ridiculous, right? So you're spending at least 2 to 3 grand each time going back and forth. I'm lucky. I'm actually lucky enough to have some relatives that live in Europe, and I can stop over there and have, kind of break up my journey so I don't get hit so hard with jet lag. But that's another thing I had to deal with, is the jet lag, and the time difference also factors into it, which is another point. You look at the time difference, man. It's so hard because you're waiting for a response from her, but then you realize, oh wait, it's that time over there. It's like nighttime, and she's probably asleep. She has to work in the morning. I'm over here and it's daytime and I'm working, right? So it brings kind of a lag. It creates a lag in the communication time, right? So that's another thing you have to understand, is that you're gonna have those issues whenever there's jet lag. Sorry, whenever there's a huge time difference between your time zones where you live. Now, if you're living on the same longitude and the same coast or whatever, or within the same region, right? You guys are fine, right? The time difference won't really affect you, but I had that situation, and it really it also kind of played a role in how our communication was at the end of the day. And I think that's almost everything I wanted to cover. But if there's anything I'm forgetting, if you guys have been through a long distance relationship and you have something to share, another pointer that could help somebody out there, or could even help me if I have any future long distance relationships, pretty much put it down right there in the comments. And also, if you have any questions for me and you want to know, hey, maybe what's it like living, what's the money situation? How are you able to access your money over there? How do you live like an expat in a country like Uganda, or even in East Africa in general? That's something that I've already been through. If you want to know something about what it's like to work remote, and how would you manage your work hours when there's a huge time difference, those are also other things that I could probably share with you, so you can learn from my experiences and not make the mistakes that I made in the beginning, right? And then if we can share knowledge back and forth, at the end of the day, it makes our lives better, and makes our time on this earth better as well. And we can continue to grow as human beings while we share information with each other and try to see how we can solve our problems. So I thank you guys for coming to the channel here and listening to me talk for a long period of time. I appreciate it so much. Please hit the subscribe button, also hit the like button. Let's get the algorithm to push this message out there, and see if we can help a bunch of people as well that need to hear this message. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk later.